Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Alexander and Andrew, the stars of Double A Entertainment, and we are introducing a new show, which you can explain.
Basically, what it is, it's like we do a top 10 for most anticipated films that haven't come or are yet to come, and usually he gives his 5 and my 5, just to even it up, to see both sides.
Or sometimes I do 10 and he does 10 on separate lists.
Yeah, sometimes we do it separately.
Yeah.
And also, we do it every week, too. That's going to be a new thing that's coming up.
So this week we are doing our top 10, but my top 5, his top 5 picks of our most anticipated films coming out this year, 2018. So you may begin.
Oh, I thought you were going to go first.
Okay, in that case I will go first. My top 5 has to be Isle of the Dogs, because I'm a huge Wes Anderson fan. I first remember watching Grand Budapest Hotel, which was out of the ordinary, and I've seen many of his other films, such as Moonrise Kingdom and The Life Aquatic with Steven Zazu, I believe that's the name of it. And I've been very pleased with this work, and I'm looking very much forward to this one. A Quiet Place. A Quiet Place I don't know too much about, but I remember going to the movies with my buddies and seeing a preview, and it was just one of the most intense, terrifying previews I've seen this year so far, and I very much admire horror. And my issue nowadays is a lot of horror films try to do the better film as opposed to doing something different, and I can tell this one's going to be very different.
What do you mean they try too hard?
That too, but like all films nowadays are trying to do the better movie, like they're following a certain archetype, they're copying all the most popular films, trying to one-up them instead of trying to be different. And I'm also looking forward to Winchester. If I'm not mistaken, it's the guys who did The Conjuring, and I'm very much into the supernatural, not even just the supernatural, but any like history, scary stuff, real life events, and I've heard a lot of horror stories about the ghosts of Winchester, so I'm very intrigued by this. I can't wait to see it. 12 Strong, because it's got an all-star cast, including Chris Hemsworth and Michael Shannon, who I'm a huge fan of, one of the best actors of our generation. And also, I very much admire any film that goes to show how hard how our troops work, the hell that they go through, and I just support it fully. I really support our troops, and I feel also, especially nowadays, they're not getting the support that they deserve. And last but certainly not least, I'm looking forward to Nosferatu, directed by Robert Eggers, who directed The Witch. No, something Switch. I think there's a new director. But the thing about Nosferatu is, it's one of the earliest films that inspired me as a filmmaker. And the thing about Nosferatu is, you have a lot of films like Nightmare on Elm Street, or even characters like Frankenstein, which are overdone to death. Like, a lot of people just try to copy it, and sooner or later it loses its intensity, its saturation. And the thing about Nosferatu is, the original 1922 from F.W. Murnau is a classic. It's one of the greatest films ever made. Then in 1979 you have Werner Herzog, who remade it, the mastermind Werner Herzog, and completely took his own route with it. It was very much like the original, but it was so incredibly different. And you also have which works as a great film on its own. Then you have Shadow of the Vampire, which is one of the most underrated films of all time. Shadow of the Vampire, check it out if you haven't already, which is about the making of the film Nosferatu. Well, it's a horror film about the making of the film. So I'm really looking forward to this one, because of this one thing I got from all the Nosferatu films. No matter how, it's been done throughout the past, and each and every time someone goes to take a new approach to it, it's always incredibly original. It's extremely artistically insightful and creative. So, and I've never been disappointed. So I'm really looking forward to this one. So Andrew, what are your top 10?
Well, I mean, starting on the list, we have Black Panther. Hopefully, a lot of you guys might have the same opinion as I. But last year, I remember when you and I went to see Captain America: Civil War during 2016. Like, that was, my God, that was 2 years ago already.
Sophomore year of high school.
Like, when we first saw Black Panther in Civil War, I was really, really excited because this is a particular character in the comics. You know, me being a comic book fan, it's been very exciting when you see this stuff come to life, especially seeing on a big screen, because we all know how everything looks better in the theater.
And sounds better.
Exactly. I mean, even at home, you could still do surround sound, but it's not the same. But with this particular character, you know, me going to the Comic Cons like in Philadelphia or in New York, I talk to a lot of comic book people all the time, and one of every person on that list ends up being Black Panther because he always seems to be one of the most popular, and you know, finally seeing him being brought up to life on the big screen, especially with an all-star cast, it's really, really exciting. Second on our list is Jurassic World, Fallen Kingdom. Basically, even though this is the fifth one, and I know it may seem that they're pushing the story a little too much, like, because when you're wondering when it comes to a particular story with a franchise, you wonder how many more can they make. Well, I mean, with the story, it makes sense of how they're going to blow up the island. Because me as a kid growing up, I've always loved watching the Jurassic Park franchise. Because seeing something that used to exist back then and now being it brought up and how people react to it in modern day, they're in disbelief.
So it's like history coming alive.
Exactly. And one of the things that it was always one of the most favorite films that my dad and I would watch together. That was one of the things that we had in common a lot. And one of the things that he would always complain about is why the hell do they always go back to the island every time? And my dad always wanted them to blow it up. You know, just be done with it, that the world didn't have to worry about the dinosaurs anymore.
Yeah.
And it seems that his wish is being granted in this movie. Because, you know, they got that freaking volcano. So, you know, it's going to be good. And hopefully, maybe this might be the last installment. Maybe not. You never know. Number 3 on our list is Pacific Rim Uprising. I hope this movie does well. I'm having mixed feelings about it because, what's his name? Guillermo
del Toro.
Guillermo del Toro.
The great Guillermo del Toro.
Yes, and he's not directing this one, which I'm a little skeptical on because I feel like he's the one who started it. But basically, to me, this was the most underrated science fiction film that I've ever seen because just the idea, and also because it's from Del Toro. He has such a creative mind, especially when his films are very
out of the blue, very unusual.
Yeah, unusual or even like out of the box, you know, very original. But the thing is, when I went to go see it, it blew my mind. It was like one of the greatest ever seen. And now that I see the guy who played Finn from The Force Awakens from Star Wars, seeing him in this movie, and also seeing Scott Eastwood from Fate of the Furious, just really seems like now that they've kind of improved on the story, like more people building more of these robots, just really seems exciting. I hope this one does well because I'm a big fan of the idea. Fourth on our list is actually Ready Player One. Basically, me personally, my whole life, ever since I was 3 and I learned to speak and learned to walk, I've always known this one name of a brilliant man, Steven Spielberg.
If I may add something, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
I definitely have to agree with Andrew because him and I have been best buds since sophomore year, even though creatively we have our differences. But there's one thing him and I can definitely agree on. Steven Spielberg was the cornerstone of our film careers. He and his films have been a key source of inspiration for us to become filmmakers.
And he's also one of the most brilliant of our time.
Definitely.
Because we're talking about the guy who directed Jaws, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, E.T.
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah, the entire Indiana Jones series, basically. And also directed the first 2 Jurassic Parks. And he's also done War of the Worlds, brilliant. Minority Report, I thought was so clever.
And also another thing I love about him, Steven Spielberg, is that he's done a lot of kids movies which are excellent, but he also did a lot of great historical films such as Schindler's List, Munich, Saving Private Ryan,
Or Lincoln.
which are all just brilliant.
And basically, the reason why I think this is going to be one of not only Steven Spielberg's best, but also the best movie ever made, because a lot of, basically part of what this movie is about is bringing in every part of 80s pop culture, everything that I love, every franchise that I love, everything that I love when it comes to Marvel or DC or science fiction or fantasy. They all came out during that time. All of our classics, some of our classics came from the 80s, and just now fitting them into one movie, just really it not only does it bring back a lot of times that I've had growing
Nostalgia.
up. Yeah, but also just bring them all together like a dream come true. Me personally, I was a little upset that kind of movie came out, because that's something I wanted to do, bringing in everything I love and fitting them into one movie. But I'm glad Steven Spielberg did it, because he has a more, I don't want to say sophisticated or more creative way, or creative thinking, but
Insightful.
with his methods, has a brilliant way of bringing him in, which is, I never thought this would be possible, but virtual reality.
Yeah.
My version, I would always do it like in a dream, almost like Christopher Nolan style,
Yeah.
like with Inception. But still, I think it's gonna be really, really clever, and also really relates to today's work. And then last on our list, again, this is another comic book movie, which is Avengers: Infinity War. Again, as a comic book person, I get questions and answers all the time when I go to Comic-Con. We all love to talk about what our favorite storylines are, or what we wish that they can do in a film. Bringing them together. Basically, and that's another thing in this movie. Basically, every person in every single movie is going to be in one movie, and seeing that all come together, it's going to be amazing. And on top of that, on the news, I heard that the studio spent $500 million, which is $500 million, on the movie. So that it may sound ridiculous, but I think it's going to be worth it, because basically everyone's going to go see it.
And the Avengers is the Star Wars of our generation.
Also, the better version of Justice League. I'm sorry, that was a corny joke. Nerd talk. Anyway, thank you for watching, everybody. We hope you enjoyed.
Catch you later, guys. And we hope to see you at the movies.